Hello everyone, I'm Tommy. Welcome to my tutorial on how to build a basic color correction in Sony Vegas. This tutorial is mainly geared towards frag movies and how to make a color correction for frag movies. If I were to describe a color correction and what it does, I'd describe it as it adds a nice touch. For this tutorial you will need, for the basic part you will just need Sony Vegas. However, if you were to go onto the advanced part, you would also need a plugin for Sony Vegas called Magic Bullet Looks. Magic Bullet Looks is a program that offers a lot more options for color corrections, and it's not actually geared towards frag movies, but it's used basically by all the good editors. It's a real necessity as you get on. Right, now I'll start off with just using some very basic Vegas plugins, and they can be found under the Video Effects tab. Right here we have our footage, just a little basic, I don't know what. Let's just first off you need to find a place where your color correction will be prominently displayed, so you can have an idea of how it's going to look. Well, I think this place should be fine. Then what you do is you go through the list over here, and there will be a few important things that you will need. You're not going to use all of these color correction things, of course, but there's a few you'll need. Bump map is one for adding brightness and stuff. I have my preset right here. Bump map is actually mainly meant to it's actually mainly meant to add a bit more brightness, a bit more light to the map. Bump maps actually, it's been made to make a sort of weird bevel emboss effect. Don't do that, just follow the way we'll be doing it here. Now, you can see I'm playing around with these settings. Basically, that's what you've got to do with Vegas presets. Just play around with the settings and you'll get there. I think this is logical enough for you guys. Right here you can see the intensity of the light, shininess, I don't know what that is, but bump height, don't change this. White is high, well you can turn that on or off, don't know what that does. It's just basically playing around with the settings will get you somewhere in any case. This for adding a bit more light, I'll just delete it now and we'll go on to the next one. That is not channel blend. You have here color corrector. I don't use color corrector. Color corrector doesn't look very nice. It adds too much of a basic color. It's not very good. Don't touch color corrector. Neither color corrector secondary. Color curves, however, can be used. Color curves is mainly for adding effects that don't actually look realistic, but are effects. Like if you were making a infrared scope, stuff like that, you could do, or little flashes. I wouldn't play with this bar too much unless you have an idea of what you're doing, and I would just leave that for now. You don't want to use that too much. What I would do is I would just select one of the presets here. If you can't find what you want there, you'll just have to move on to the next one, which is what I'm going to do now. So that's color curves. I'm just going through all of them now. Later I'll teach you how to use them. Let's see, where's the next one? Gradient map is also a possibility, although it's very strong colors. Like this, you see, no, it's not very nice. Now you can use that, but I wouldn't use it too much. It's not very good. Right, let's go way down, and here's probably the one you'll be using the most. The one I always use the most. It's called soft contrast. It's at the bottom. It's a very nice. It's actually 2-in-1. I like to think of it as 2-in-1. So what it does is it adds an effect, a color, and a vignette, a darkening at the edges of the picture. The vignette I'll discuss later. I'm starting with the effect. Now I've got my preset right here. I would advise you to stick to these settings mainly. Low trim and high trim, just turn that off. You don't need any of that. Turn them both to 0. Correction hue, I would use this value. Correction hue is what color it corrects to. You'll want to use a bit of a reddish color, usually a warm color, because you don't want to use all these green and all those weird colors. Doesn't look realistic, doesn't look nice, doesn't look anything. Just stick to correction hue 42.71 or 42 something rather. Diffusion is mainly how much the light is diffused. Diffused, not diffused like in a bomb, but diffused as in editing. This diffusion, I will keep it a bit low if you want to keep your picture nice and sharp, nice and crisp. Contrast. Now contrast is probably the most important aspect of color correcting. What contrast does is, I think you already know, most of you already know what contrast is. Contrast either darkens or lightens a picture in the sense of it makes the darker sides of the picture darker and the lighter sides lighter. So that means the shadows go darker and the light of the sun, for example, goes lighter. Now, that is usually tends to be a nice effect, especially when you have a bit of a color, a correction hue. And the contrast here is mainly, as you can see, if I turn it right down, you see the picture actually becomes like one color. It's not so impressive. If I turn it up, suddenly it looks all very impressive. Stretch range, to be fairly honest with you, I have no idea what it does. I would just leave it at this. Tint, I know what that does. It makes everything a lot more reddish, or it makes everything more in the color that you have selected with the correction hue. Like if I turn it up, all becomes red. Horrible, horrible. So keep that down a little, don't go crazy with it. So that's basically got your effect, which means basically I would stick to some of these settings and mainly customize contrast, diffusion, and perhaps tint and correction hue, although I would leave those where they are. Vignette. This is a more important, also very important part. The vignette is what you see is the dark area around here. You see the edges are a bit darker. It gives a nice effect, although you really shouldn't go crazy with it. If I turn it right up, you see it gets like a black window. You don't want that. That's horrible. It's ugly. Ugh. Blech. Away with it. So, this is more than enough. I would leave the strength never more than 60. 60 is really strong now, never more than 55. I would keep it around here, don't go crazy with it. Vignette shape should be a rectangle, exterior effect should be black. That should always be the same, unless you were really experimenting, but I wouldn't do that too much. Softness, I'd keep this at top, because softness determines how sharp the line between vignette and picture is. Now you want to keep it a bit soft, like width and height should be all both around 80. Corner radius, I think that's like the corner and the corners, but you won't be able to see anything like that, just keep it at 15. And X and Y position should always be at 50, you should not change those. So basically, you should, go away, you should just keep this X position and Y position where it is. So, that is the warm colours with small vignette preset. I have called it that myself, but you can customise it, rename it, whatever you want with it. Try to always be original, don't copy anything you see in a tutorial, but take what you've learned here, as Andrew Kramer says, and make something completely different. And I hope you'll have realised by now that one colour correction is never enough. That you can always stack them up. That you can use like a, you can use any, you can use any colour correction on top of another. You can combine them. You can mix them. You can. It's like painting, really. There's endless creativity in it. One last one I'd like to quickly show you. It's called Starburst. Starburst is a effect. Yeah, this looks all a bit weird over here. It's an effect that creates a sort of cross line. Now I've got it far too strong here. Wait, let's just turn down a bit. Wait. Yeah, it's an effect that makes a little lens flare, but a double one, a crossed one. It looks really nice on gunshots and stuff like that. As you can see here, it's already not looking that bad. It's too strong. It's too a threshold. I'll quickly be teaching you how to use this. Threshold determines on how intense the light has to be to qualify for a lens flare. If I were to turn the threshold right down, all the light virtually would have lens flare. However, as I turn it up, it becomes, so to say, more strict, like less light is allowed to have a lens flare. So with this high one, only the most intense of lights have a lens flare. Brilliance, well, I think that word describes it pretty well. Strength, that is how opaque lens flare is. Keep it a bit down. This is especially nice when in gunshots or stuff. You can have it like fade in, fade off, stuff like that. It's an effect you need to really know how to use. And you need to experiment with it. This is how much of the light you want moved to the center. Center burst, aspect, orientation. I don't really know what those are. I think orientation is pretty obvious. That's how much you turn it. Aspect. Sorry, don't know. Just leave it at whatever it was. Soften edges. That is to make it, well, soft or sharp. Reduce flicker and effect only. I would leave those two unchecked. That is Starburst. Now, Starburst, you can find examples of Starburst effects. Insana 2 features very nice Starburst sequences sometimes. However, I wouldn't go crazy with that effect. So, that's basically gone over all the very basic Vegas tutorials, Vegas presets, Vegas color correction applications. You can which proves, I think, that you can, without any other program for help, you can actually make quite nice color corrections in Vegas for frag movies. So you won't actually need to download things like, or buy whatever you like it, Magic Bullet looks. You can also go great without it, but eventually, if you want to make really nice ones, you'll have to stick to other programs. However, if you're just starting off, what you've learned in this tutorial is really good, I think. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to visit our forums at tsfc.forumotion.com. At the forum you can browse, if you play Soldier Front, that is. At the forums you can browse and meet other people, have movies reviewed, few tutorials, images and signatures, music, off topic, whatever you like. Basically a very nice forum we've built for ourselves. I hope you enjoyed. If this has helped you, please place a comment, rate, thumbs up as the new layout says, and and subscribe, of course. That's basically it. I'm signing off, and